Patrick, I'll turn to you, whether it's the sellout rate or the over frequency or any of the other kind of colliding elements of this, the answer is going to wind up being data, right? The more we can drill into the data and use the anonymized, privacy protected, unique identity of each user, the better that environment's going to be for each user. The question is, how do we pull everybody together to get the data that makes that necessary? If you're not Google, if you're not Amazon.
I don't know. I don't know how you pull it together. I mean, like we talked about this. Like it creates there has to be some sort of forcing function, and maybe things like Walmart's acquisition of Vizio is part of that creates this need to standardize measurement across platforms. I mean, we do. It's not like it's like completely void of.
Interoperability. That's
Yeah, it's
one
not
of the.
completely void of data. It's just that the data that you get is different across platforms, and
Your enterprise actually it kind of personifies the need. So the JIC put out, here's a really good comparison, by the way. So in the United States, we had Nielsen, which was a monopoly for many, many years. And then they fell out of favor. And now we have a JIC that's allowing for basically a multi-pronged currency and measurement ecosystem. In the UK, the JIC is owned by all the stakeholders, and there's one unit of measurement, basically, and it compares all of the platforms side by side, Netflix and broadcast, soon to be YouTube, I hope. We don't have anything close to that here, and we keep grappling with the conversation. But what do you do? Like just across, how do you sell interoperably? You have TV, digital, all these other platforms. I'm sure you're selling across those platforms. Are the buyers buying that way?
Some are, some aren't. You kind of have to again sort of adapt and those buyers, be their brands or agencies, are also evolving. There used to be a separation between digital media and TV, and now they're just sort of video investment teams, and they're buying across social, YouTube, connected TV, pay TV, linear, but not everybody buys that way. So you kind of have to, it's a difficult challenge that I'm not envious of our sales team and our integrated marketing teams to figure out, all right, how do we take this sort of a package to advertisers A, B, C, D, and then a different one to different buyers who are buying in a different way. And I think that's something that is kind of just, table stakes now is to understand how you do that. But I think the way for us, given the fact that Fuse is a diverse-owned media company and we reach a multicultural audience, that's kind of how we sell. Is we sell that we reach a certain segment of audiences across platforms, and we sell that contextually against premium long-form content for the most part, and that is a really strong sell, and that gives us the kind of the value proposition to our advertising partners to spend with us. And I think that creates, the way that we can sell is different than the way, let's say, a Tubi might sell or a Samsung TV Plus might sell. And I think that if by creating a collaborative ecosystem in which all of the data is shared, that actually creates a more healthy advertising ecosystem for everybody.
Well, also, so think about it from the consumer standpoint. I think, the consumer, I think Sam mentioned the paradox of choice earlier on the panel, which is this: it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And if you look at what people are watching and listening to right now, it's really leaning on known brands, I think in part because discovering new work is very difficult.
Yeah.
The data allows for discovery. It allows for a more personalized experience. It takes the preferences that you might have when you're on the Fuse platform and imports them to Tubi when you get there, and introduces you to content on that platform. That's one aspect of it. But I also think it helps get the buyers, and there is, as much money is moving to CTV as has been and will in this new front and upfront, it's not moving commensurate with the amount of usage.
Yeah.
And part of that's because it's really a fucking hard to buy, to be blunt. And to a certain extent, I think data is either it is the answer specifically, technically, because it can actually fix it, or it leads us to the insights to know how to fix it. But to Patrick's last point, if the rest of the ecosystem that isn't a trillion-dollar Death Star doesn't get together and share data and really pool its resources more, and I can point to, there are good examples out there to point to, it is going to be increasingly hard to compete with, the other thing that ties those two stories together. They're both huge retailers who are suddenly now television companies.
Yeah.
And that's the ecosystem that we now live in. Laura, thoughts on that?
I think this is where, I also run a broadcast channel that we sell 100% of the inventory that is literally just run off Nielsen ratings, right? And they're 0.01% of the market. And having come from a platform, I know I can provide addressable, real-time data that makes a meaningful ROI for an advertiser. And that's where I need that benchmark that advertisers can agree on, because they're going to know that our IP is IP that is a lean in active watch scenario, right? It's family friendly. Like, these are the things that are going to help them discover that this is worth taking the effort on. And so I can only do that in pieces right now, right? And it's not being done at the value the content is actually worth. So for us, just to re-echo everything you're saying, we need that normalization, because we can't make this content and we cannot keep it going if it's a fraction of the actual value it's actually worth to an advertiser.